So every one of us here tonight is selling something. It's going to be a product, it might be a service, it could be an idea, it even could be a vision that you have. But now all of us know that when it comes to selling something, that what is really, really important and crucial to the success of that sale is your credibility. Think about it. If you're trying to sell something and you come across as not being credible, not being trustworthy, what's going to happen? The sale isn't going to happen for sure. They're going to move on to someone else, someone they think maybe, gets that across better. What is happening though, while we all know this, what's happening though is that a lot of us are failing to understand that the credibility that we work so hard to create and to build, blood, sweat and tears to do this, that we need to have that same credibility in the online space. Now you might ask why. Well, we are now living in what is a very online connected world. What happens nowadays is if someone recommends us to someone, or if we hear about someone that okay, that's interesting, or even tonight, you speak briefly to somebody for a couple of minutes, you exchange business cards, but anyway, you come away from that and you think, you know what, they seem a little bit interesting, I'm going to check them out. What do? We go to Google, we stick their name in Google, and we see what returns. Now, if you haven't taken charge of your online, how you are online, your brand online as it is, what can happen is all the effort that you've put into building up your credibility is negated in nanoseconds. Now, you might say to me, you know what, Carole, that doesn't affect me. I'm not on social sites, I don't get involved, it's not about what I'm at. This is not going to happen for me. It is so unusual nowadays for any of us, particularly in business, for us not to have some sort of digital footprint. Let me ask you a question. How many of you here has a LinkedIn profile? Can I get a show of hands, please? Give me a show of hands. Wow. That pretty much looks like everybody in the room. If someone is interested enough in you, what they'll do is when they go into Google and stick your name in, LinkedIn being as powerful as it is, what happens is on page 1 of the search, up will come your LinkedIn profile. If your LinkedIn profile is looking shabby, that's the first thing that person is going to see about you, and they're going to make a judgment call on that basis. The other thing about it is most of us will go to business events. And when we're at business events, there might be a photographer there. And you've sort of said, yeah, okay, I'm happy to be in that photograph, happy days, they've taken my name. And it's probably gone up on some sort of media channel somewhere. So now you've got a photograph out there that's linking you to an event, to your business, or to something else. So there's something else out there. Now, something that you really need to think about is from a reputational kind of damage control, is most of us have in our family units, we have someone who is very snap happy with their camera phone, who are, and I'm talking about personal events more so. And what they're doing is they're going around taking photographs. You've had a couple of pints, a couple of glasses of wine, you're feeling a bit chilled out. They take a photograph of the group or whatever, and they tag you, and what you don't realize is that they've then uploaded it with a public setting. Okay? If, for example, someone goes on and they check you out, and as I say, you are not checking this out yourself, as in managing your online presence, what can happen is what they see is straight away going to impact on how they perceive you and perhaps the business or whatever it is you're selling. So you need to take control of your online presence. If you don't, what happens is you're allowing others to define your presence. So, to give you some examples of some of the clients that I've worked with and why they've looked at this area, let me talk to you about one guy who came to me. He came and he said, look, Carole, I am somebody who would be considered as being very much an industry leader. Everybody, my journalists will come to me, they'll look for a comment if there's something going on in that particular sector. His opinion was wanted, it was valued. But this is a guy who also knew that he wanted to remain being that industry leader, but he knew in order to do that, that what he had to do was to make sure he was in the online space as well as the offline one. So when he came to me, what he was talking about was being much more proactive. And by that, not only did he want to look at his LinkedIn profile, but he also wanted to be very much proactive in putting out content on LinkedIn. So putting out stuff that was relevant to his industry, making sure that he was seen as commenting on it or being a part of it. And also the other area was Twitter. So we worked around that. Now there was another client that came to me, a woman who had, her whole career was built in Ireland. And when she came to me, how she described it was I want to make sure my profile is okay. She'd gotten a new role in a global organization, very senior one, a leadership role, and what she was doing now was traveling a lot, meeting obviously people outside the Irish market, where she didn't really have to put a lot of effort into her profile. What we did was, part of it was we did look at her LinkedIn profile. And given so many of you are actually on LinkedIn, she had made what is a rookie mistake. Seen it quite a lot. When you're faced with something that says summary, put something in here about you. People kind of go a bit blank. It's very hard to write about yourself. So what they do, and what she had done was, she'd went to a CV that she had and she'd copied and pasted some of that over, tweaked it a bit in fairness to her, but that is what she'd done. Didn't look so good. The other thing is what LinkedIn does, and you'll all know this, is it asks you, prompts you to complete your profile. So it asks you to put in skills. And again, faced with doing this, what she'd done was she banged in skills. Some of them are relating to her career 25 years ago. Now you all know how LinkedIn works. What it does is it looks at the skills that you have in there, and then it puts them in front of your connections, and it asks your connections to endorse you. Everybody doing that? Yeah. And in her case, what was happening was she was getting endorsed for skills that were not relevant to who she was today. So what that meant was, if you checked her out, new career or kind of career change for her, new organization certainly, but if you checked her out and found her LinkedIn profile as it was, it would have sent up some questions, because you're thinking, okay, I've heard this woman has a very senior role, leadership role, global organization. When I look at her LinkedIn, it looks a bit dodgy. All right? So straight away there's a question mark about her credibility. So we worked on that. Now another guy came to me, somewhat different, very successful, very entrepreneurial. This is a guy who, in the tech industry, bought and sold companies. In a position in life, which I'm hoping to get there at some stage, where he felt he could invest the time, he certainly had the money, he could invest the time in something he was very passionate about. And it was something he was starting to do. The thing about it was that when you checked him out online, there was very little online with him, for him, I should say. And the reason for that, as I discovered afterwards, was because he's so low-key, he very much went out of his way to make sure he was not mentioned anywhere. The problem was credibility. If you didn't know him, then there was nothing there to tell you that this guy could do what he was hoping to do, even though he was very successful. So what I'm going to ask you all to do, I want you to think in terms of, who do you want to be known for? What is your brand? And then I want you, after that, in the break maybe, I want you to go in and Google your name, and I want you to see what comes back. If it's looking good, fantastic, well done. If it's not, then what I'm going to ask you to do is to go in, any dodge photographs, get whoever it was to put it up, get it down. And make sure that what you do is you sharpen up your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you even do that, what's going to happen is when someone does take the effort to check you out online, that when they do find you, your credibility will remain intact. So take back control of your online presence. Do not let others define you. That's it. Thank you.